No one in the Hall of Suns expected the human to last more than a minute. That was the entire point of the duel. Princess Kellis of the Virathi Empire had challenged Lieutenant Noah, veiled before the court to remind the galaxy that ancient blood still ruled the stars. Her silver armor gleamed, her energy spear sang, and across from her stood a human in a plain training harness. Calm enough to seem insulting, the court had laughed when he entered the ring, because humans were still treated like a loud young species. Dangerous, perhaps, but crude Kellis believed it too. Until Noah loosened his shoulders, studied her stance, and said, "Are your people always this dramatic before getting embarrassed?" The chamber froze. Kellis felt the insult like a slap. She had meant to humble him publicly. Instead, he had made it personal. And that was the first mistake she made. Because Kellis fought best with cold precision, not pride, then the human smiled. And suddenly, the duel did not feel ceremonial at all. The rules were simple. No ranged weapons, no outside shields, no interference once the ring closed. Victory by surrender, disarmament, or incapacitation. Kellis stepped into the circle, every movement polished by training. She had defeated noble heirs, battle champions, even engineered predators. Noah stepped in with a matte black human blade and nothing else that impressed anyone. When the signal flashed, Kellis moved first. Her spear split into shimmering angles. Throat, shoulder, knee, the sequence was flawless. But the human did not answer like any trained duelist she had studied. He dropped low, let one strike skim past, braced the shaft of the second with his forearm, and twisted through the third in a way that looked ugly and completely wrong. And somehow perfectly effective, her attack missed by a finger width. His boot clipped the inside of her ankle, and for one shocking instant, she nearly lost balance. Murmurs spread through the arena, not because he had won anything, but because he had made her look uncertain. Kellis attacked harder. Her spear became a storm of technique. But Noah kept surviving in ways that offended elegant combat. He used bad angles, rough collisions, the ring boundary, even a burst of grip dust from the floor to blur her vision. The nobles recoiled. Kellis burned with outrage. Then she saw the truth. He was reading her. Every royal school taught that form revealed mastery. But to Noah, form revealed habit, and habit was weakness written in muscle. When she rotated left before a thrust, he was already moving. When she lifted her elbow before a feint, he ignored the feint and struck the recovery. Then his blade slammed the side of her wrist. Pain flashed, and her spear almost slipped from her hand. The court gasped. Kellis stared at him, and for the first time, doubt cut through her confidence. Who was this human who fought like disaster wrapped in patience? Then he said, almost gently, "You are trying to win the duel." "Princess, I am trying to survive you. Those are not the same thing." That sentence landed harder than any blow, because Kellis suddenly understood what the galaxy kept missing. Humans did not build themselves around superiority. They built themselves around endurance, adaptation, and the stubborn refusal to stop. Anger sharpened into urgency. Kellis drew on the full charge of her spear and unleashed the crown spiral. Rings of blue force wrapped the weapon as she drove forward in a cascade of impossible thrusts. 6 lines of attack, then 9, then 12. The air screamed, nobles rose, certain the human was finished. Noah retreated under the barrage, forearm bleeding, breath ragged, one knee dipping as the spiral crushed him toward the edge. Kellis saw the moment of collapse and committed to the final strike. Victory was one heartbeat away, then Noah did something insane. He stepped into the attack, not away from it, into it, taking the lesser impact along his side so he could trap the spear shaft under his arm and close the distance so completely that her greatest weapon became useless between them. The arena went silent. Kellis had no room to recover. His blade rested at her throat. His other hand locked her wrist. His face inches from hers, pale with pain, steady with will. "If this were war," he whispered, "you would already be dead. If this were pride, I would make you kneel. But this is a lesson, and you need it more than I do." Kellis froze, not because of the blade, but because he had spared her at the exact instant humiliation would have crowned him. Every noble expected him to boast, to shame her. to punish an empire that had mocked his species. Instead, he stepped back first, lowered his weapon first, and trusted her not to strike him in return in a court built on masks. That trust felt more dangerous than any blade. And in that instant, Kellis regretted the challenge more than she had regretted anything in her life. Noah should have left the ring as a survivor. Instead, he walked out as proof that humanity was dangerous not because it was stronger, but because when strength failed, humans adapted and kept coming. The silence in the hall cracked into chaos. Some cried dishonor, some demanded the duel be voided. Others stared at the Earth delegation as if they had just discovered fire could think. But Kellis heard none of them clearly. Her own realization was louder. She had entered the circle to expose a lesser species. What she had exposed instead was the arrogance of every empire that mistook polish for power. When she finally turned, Noah was already at the edge of the ring. Wounded, exhausted, yet still steady, Kellis raised her voice before the council could poison the moment. "The human wins," she declared, and not one soul interrupted. Then she added the words that would spread across star systems, not because he was stronger, but because when strength failed, he adapted. The court learned to fear humanity that day, but Kellis learned something deeper. Perfection may be admired, elegance may be celebrated, bloodlines may rule for a season, but the species that survives the impossible rewrites the future. And from then on, whenever anyone laughed at humans in her presence, Princess Kellis remembered the smile, the impossible step forward. In the instant she understood the most dangerous truth in the stars: never challenge a human unless you are prepared to lose far more than the fight.